Computer. Welcome, Chris Evans Radio. We are back with little Dave. We have been shooting the shit for about 15 minutes and we are adequately warmed up and ready to talk bodybuilding. And to me, like based on the comments, based on what people are saying, like, we aren't saying revolutionary stuff.
Not even close.
No, no. But what we are doing is spreading the truth. And it's almost like that shirt that we have. It's like what, the anti-influencer?
Yep.
Like,
The anti-influencer club.
yes. I got the shirt wrong. Yes, yeah. And oh, that fires me up so much because at the end of the day, people I know, God, I've seen these comments, right? I just had it in one of the videos. It was Chris, like, as long as they're in a good mood and spreading positivity, why do you care about what they're doing? And I'm like, they are robbing kids of time and effort in the gym. Like, it's literally bullshit
Yep.
that they're regurgitating because it's easy to parrot trendy things that are cliched, right? Oh, Dave, I can give you shredded glutes in 3 days. All you need to do is take a shitload of diuretics. Is it the truth? Maybe. Would it have worked one off? Potentially.
Yeah.
But are we doing that? No. So it always, those people will remind me of like those old school, and I'm speaking way to my age here, like ads on CVS or sorry, QVC or like late night TV where it's like, put this belly band on and wear it for 6 hours a day and you'll have abs, like, or those like 15-minute ab days. Like, do you want to work out for 15 minutes a day and get peeled? Yeah, everyone does. That to me, when I see those like snake oil fucking gimmick shit, like that's what I think about. And I'm like, you're literally lying to people because we all know to get an incredible physique that when you take your shirt off or strip down to a bathing suit or bikini or posing trunks, if you want people's jaw to drop, that's a decade of work for most. Very rarely do normal people with normal genetics have the ability to put in less work and achieve that.
Yep.
And it's just a literal lie because they'll sell their ebooks and their t-shirts and everything under the sun, water bottles, pre-workouts, like you fucking name it. And it's all on the premise of don't listen to all those people who are telling you that it's going to take years. I can show you a faster way because I'm smarter. And it's just not the case.
Yeah. Or they get it backwards. They're like, this is the way to do it, but you also have to have a ton of muscle to be able to do it this way.
Yep.
It's like the way you're going to diet me for this show is going to be very not the same as the first show I did.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
It is what it is. It's because it's a different. There's varying levels of muscle on someone.
Yes.
If you put on 80 plus pounds of muscle on a human, that's quite a different metabolic advantage. Things operate a little bit differently than someone who does. They still operate obviously the same, but they've done things a lot of the similar ways where some things are easier.
Yep.
And
it's just
what it is.
It's so difficult to separate that, right? And I think a lot of times people get confused on their audience. And I will always go back. One of my original business mentors gave me this very valuable piece of information. He said, Chris, when you speak, when you write, when you post on Instagram, when you do a YouTube video, speak to your audience, not your peers. And he said, that's something that so many people get wrong, right? He said, they make videos or content that literally is speaking to their peers, not the people who are actually digesting and processing and using your information. So if I'm breaking down for you and it's like, let's say we're going to be like hyper freaking pinpoint, and I'm like, Dave, we need to bring up the last like 2 to 3 inches of your lower lat for your lat spread. That's a very different conversation than you at 140 pounds. And I'm saying, Dave, we got to bring up every muscle in your back. Okay.
Mhm.
And I think so many get that really twisted and conflated. Like, I'm never going to have you sit sideways on a underhand hammer strength lat pull down and do it to where you're squeezing back behind your back. Even today, I'm not going to have you do that. Why? You think you're going to outsmart Dorian Yates, who was the inspiration to that piece? No, stop it. And I know what you're going to say, but Chris, like, so and so, like, hooks a D handle and kneels on the floor and pulls it like in a really slow eccentric. Awesome. What's he look like? If you know who I'm referring to, it's not impressive. You know,
Yeah.
beside Dorian Yates to this day, fully
Yeah.
retired.
Well, it's one of those fun things. I feel like so many people just glance over that. Like, it's not like me and you are against learning how muscles work
Right.
or how I love learning about how things function.
Yes.
It's just, I do know for a fact what there gets to a point in a set where it's not going to be pretty.
Or yes.
Am I still using my muscle? Yeah. Am I maybe using some other ones? Sure.
Right.
That's why I'm here.
Yes.
You're legitimately never going to have just work one muscle.
Right. Yeah.
It's other things are going to play. That's how your body works. Other things are going to come into play. And if you always are just trying to isolate, what do you, I mean, we just talked about this earlier, right? There's a time for a scalpel and there's a time for a sledgehammer. But you're not going to start carving a freaking block of granite with a scalpel.
No.
You're going to grab the biggest fucking hammer you can
Right.
get it to the right size.
Mhm. Yep. You know, a perfect example of what you just described. I feel like at this point, if I handed you a D handle on a cable and said, Dave, I need you to crush your bicep on a curl with a moderate load, 50 pounds, and you're in shape and you did it shirtless. And you just, as you curled with your right arm, just pan around your body and see all the muscle that's actually working. All the muscles through your traps, through your upper back, that's stabilizing your torso, your erectors, your front delt, your side delt, your forearms. And I'm literally saying, hey, isolate your bicep. You'll probably even see your chest flicker up and down when you curl it. So even though you are great at targeting just your bicep, it's as you said, every other little muscle will come into play. And if you've ever been lean enough to see your body just move through space, it works as an instrument. It isn't like, oh, the inside head of my bicep. Just that, nothing else fires. Don't want to do it. And that's what I feel like all these people are like leaning into, which is why I feel like you and I push back against that. And it's almost like we try to take the other extreme. And honestly, it's somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
You know, or it's probably, in my mind, a little bit more skewed meathead than protractor compass guy. So it's like, here's the middle, perfectly even. It's probably a little bit more this way because I'll always take the guy who's like, let's talk, give me heavier weights, and I'm going to go till I puke. All right, cool.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Which is why you and I've always got along. You've asked me good questions. I'll give you good answers. But at the end of the day, like, I'm like, can you just execute it? Yeah, I got it. Good. Like, oh, what really sucks, right, is I I don't know why. I'd love to figure this out and really get a good grasp of it from someone who would actually have an intelligent conversation with me that's in the other crowd and be like, okay, honestly, just brutally honest, tell me right now, like, what do you hate about us who is like years in the gym training hard, know how to train and train our bodies right? Like, why do you always fight back against us so much? It almost is, it very much reminds me of like the natty crowd. Like, have you
Yeah.
ever noticed how angry those dudes are?
Oh, yeah. It's
Like,
wild. They're like, well, he takes steroids. He's a terrible person.
right, right. He beats his wife. He's an asshole. Like, I've all this is a huge side tangent here. I've always with the natty crowd, it kind of reminds me of the easiest analogy would be like if I'm a girl with no boobs and I'm pissed off at girls that have tits, like, hey, there's an easy solution for that.
Yeah.
It's really easy. You become in that crowd if you chose it. Like, in what world would you get mad at another choice another adult made? You know,
Right.
I don't get it. I struggle with that because that group speaking about natties versus enhanced is like they're like, oh, it's all supplements, and we're like, if you ever tried supplements or you trained a bunch of people who were on them, you would know that. How can I say this? The amount of people that have came to me using more drugs than I've ever dreamed of, and you wouldn't know it by looking at their physique. It's a
Yeah.
lot.
It actually makes me laugh because the amount of people I know who take drugs and the amount of drugs that are just in society now. Hell, we have so many TikTokers talking about how to use them when they're 150 pounds.
Yes.
If it was all drugs, do you think those TikTokers would be bigger than 190?
Right. Right. Yeah. Yep.
Like, if it was all drugs, all of us would be fucking huge.
Yeah. Yep. The amount of times I've had to ask, hold on, this is what you are taking, or this is what you want to take? Like, oh no, I've been on this for 6 months. What?
Oh my goodness. You know what's another one of those funny circle things? Like if you've ever really like stepped out and paid attention, or if you go to bodybuilding shows too, right? When if you pay attention, there's going to be a group of really pretty big dudes,
Mm, yeah.
and 9 times out of 10, they're talking about how to eat more food.
Right. Yeah.
And then you have the group of like maybe 170, 200 pound kids, and all of them are talking about what's the best cycle, and they're like, "Hey, I found the new cool drug. This drug's fucking amazing. I gained 30 pounds with it." And yet all of them are like, 200 pounds. And then you look over at the pro bodybuilders and they're all talking about food.
Right.
It's like, where's the disconnect here? Right?
Yeah.
We all have the same things.
Yes. Yes.
Maybe it's what the pro bodybuilders realize it's not just this fucking special sauce, but it's what they're putting in their bodies as food.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Or you watch them in the gym train and you're intelligent and not egotistical to fully take in what's going on. You can watch someone like an old Jay Cutler video and be like, man, he is getting after it without
Yeah.
saying, oh God, his form is trash. It's loose. He's doing too much volume. It's sloppy, all the stuff that people hate on Jay,
Yeah.
right? And it's like, huh, you see how much muscle he gained from when he started versus where he ended?
Yeah.
Go watch one of his DVDs and tell me that dude doesn't know how to shovel food in. Like, something is working.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And what's really funny, I think, especially I did. I grew up in an era where, no one really talked openly about drugs. It was quiet. It was you read Flex magazine and you thought, oh, Jay Cutler and Ronnie Coleman just took their cell tech and they got that huge and they're always peeled. And you would rarely see pictures of like those Lee Priest shots of him eating KFC where he's fat, right?
Yeah.
It was always just them in contest shape year round. So you almost got bamboozled in the fact of thinking like, okay, cool, like I can look like that year round and just take over the counter supplements. Hell yeah, sign me up. Like I just gotta train,
Yeah.
I gotta eat right. So I really think in a weird, fucked up way, it forced me to learn those two things really well. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, those are staples, training and nutrition, and then over the counter supplements. And then there's always like one pro or something would always talk about like rest recovery, right? So when we
Yeah.
get the magazine DVD, it would always be those four things just thrown at you, right? Cutler getting massage, taking naps, like, going to bed on time, putting a sleep mask on, CPAP, you name it.
Yeah.
So it forced in my brain to think, huh, okay, that's what all the dudes who are the best in the world of this are doing. Okay, that's what I have to replicate. And then it was like when I started hanging out with like true big monsters, I was like, oh, so there's a different side to this. And they're like, yeah, Chris, but master these first four, and then we'll talk to you about this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool, got it.
Yeah.
Is that what you would do in hindsight? 100%. Okay, cool, got it. Learn how to move weight. Learn how to just completely get punched in the mouth repeatedly week after week and show up and do it harder. And then how much food you can eat each month. try to add more to it. Okay, bodybuilding simple. Like, all right, awesome. I can do that. And it's fun.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. Like,
Yeah.
it's
And
weird.
then nowadays you just have these people who all they do is talk about, like, oh, you're not hungry, try this SARM, this growth hormone analog. And it's like, this will make you hungry. I was like, so will fucking training hard. You guys train like fucking vaginas.
Right.
Like, wonder why you're not hungry. You're like, oh man, this 4,000 calories a day is difficult. Like, shit, half your food's from Pop Tarts and fucking pizza rolls.
Right. Or every other meal's a damn shake.
Yeah.
Mass gainer 4,000. Like, but Chris, I don't get it. I'm drinking 1,000-calorie shakes 3 times a day. Yeah, no shit. Trade it for some real food, man. Like, or I'll always go back. I think I said this in this podcast before. Like, they're too busy writing in their damn journals and not enough time with heavy ass weights in their hands. Like,
Yeah.
I
Dude, I was literally at the gym yesterday,
uh,
and this is not a commercial. This is not a commercial gym.
okay,
Dude was doing tricep push downs with one hand,
okay.
and he was on his phone with the other hand.
Mm.
And I was like, I hope to God, I didn't ask him, I didn't talk to, I just saw that, and I was like, I hope to God that's a warm up or you're just dicking around. Because if that's like your actual set, like I wouldn't be able to go home and sleep well at night if that's the effort I put into bodybuilding.
No, no.
You're like, oh man, I'm wondering why I'm not growing. I probably should start taking shred. It's like, I know why you're not fucking growing.
Right. Right. This is a true story. There was a dude that came in the gym every morning at 9:30 in the morning. He was a pilot. And man, those people you can just see in there, you can tell they're stressed to the max, like
Yeah.
just instant. And because I worked at the gym all the time, like I always introduce myself to everyone. And every day he would come to train. Halfway through his workout, he'd be on the phone on one of those old school like Bluetooth headsets and just fighting with his girlfriend or wife the whole like second half of the workout. And there was one day like he came in there and I didn't see him on it at all. And I was like, "Oh, your wife give you a break today?" And he was like, "Oh man, you notice it?" I was like, "Everyone in the gym notices it, man." And like this dude would be like on a leg press, just pumping reps, just full on fighting in his ear.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, you have the stress of the leg press and whatever's being said to you, like, dear God, like too much. Stop it.
Yeah. You don't need that much of a stimulus.
No, no. It, yeah, it's truly intriguing to me. Like if you just break down the most training and bodybuilding and all this stuff where it's fat loss or muscle gain, contest prep, doesn't matter to me. Training for a sporting event. If you just throw away all the noise and focus on the simple task at hand in that moment in time, whether that's eat a meal, whether that's rest, whether that's train. If you do those and do it optimally, and then realize that, hey, like I can only control what's in my power, and everything else in the universe is out of my control. Why should I worry about that? You know, like you could sit around and stress out about your plane ride or your hotel or the temperature or raining or anything's gonna like throw off a show prep, right? Oh my God, am I losing fat fast enough? Like, is Chris having the right amount of carbs? Like, is my training right? Do I need to be training more? Do I need to be training less? Is the exercise selection proper? You could worry about all that stuff. Or you could just say, hey, I'm going to do what he says. And if it's not working, he'll change it.
Yep.
And when you do that and you relinquish that almost just like nagging voice in your ear, things become way easier. As opposed to going to your training partner and like, Zach, what do you think? Look at my glutes. How hard are they? Do you need to take a picture of them? Send them to Chris. See what he says. Like, I see your glutes 2 to 5 times a week. I'm watching.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Well, it's like doing anything. It's like if you constantly second guessing yourself, you're not going to do a good job.
No.
Like you're putting together a project, you have a blueprint, you can fucking look at that,
Yeah.
right? But you don't need to be stressing about the fucking color of the 2x4.
No.
Like nail it up, frame it, put it together the best you can. Follow that goddamn plan, and you have a nice fucking house.
Yep.
You know.
You know, I think anyone that I've ever spent time with in a show prep, and I hope you can relate to this, like you'll pose, I'll look at you, I'll think for like, I don't know, 5 to 10 seconds, and I'm like, okay, eat this, 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 and this. And then I'm texting it to you, and then I'm putting it into your spreadsheet. And then I email that spreadsheet to you. Some would say there's no way he could process that information that fast and put it out in paper. Some might not be able to, but I'm always, and I will thank God for this gift. I can see that, process it, and know what that's going to do on your body.
Yeah, well, yeah, you've done it tons of times. Well, and it's also it's one of those things. It's like not that complicated of a thing. It's like if you're painting a fucking picture, and you're like, okay, cool, this is missing something, and the 30 things it could be missing is proteins, carbs, or fats,
Right.
right?
Yep.
You're like, okay, cool. What color are we going to do this? Right? Which one's going to work the best? Sometimes it's a combo of all three. Sometimes it's a combo of two. Sometimes it's a combo of one.
Yep.
And you kind of go from there. You can get really fancy with it and sprinkle in more salt or less water.
Yep. Right.
But the three colors are right there.
Yep. And what people have said to me, like, man, the confidence in which you spoke that to me just eased my mind. And I'm like, why wouldn't I speak it confident? Like, it's what I saw, do it. And then on the flip side of that, if it doesn't work, guess what? I'll change it.
Yeah, that's the best part is, okay, cool. We had some carbs that were still a little flat. Well, that's an easy answer. More carbs. Wild. Like you didn't die, Or like, oh, cool, we did too many carbs. Let's stop eating for a little bit.
Pull it back. Chris, my stomach's a little full.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's always like, and I will say this too, it helps when you're in shape because it gives me more leeway. And it gives me more leeway on both directions. Let me explain that. If you're shredded, I can give you a little bit too many carbs and your body will just look crazier. I can give you too little of carbs, you'll still look good, but maybe not as full as we need to be. So you'll still step on stage and be in shape. So if I undercarb you, you'll be fucking peeled, but just not quite as full. If I overcarb you, you'll be splitting full and we might lose a little bit of lines. But if you're in shape, you'll be better than most people's conditions anyways, right? So I always know this in my heart. Like it's kind of like the ace, right? If you're always in shape, I can have leeway. And when I fucking nail it, that's when you get on stage and like, we got the condition, we got the fullness, we got the dryness. Perfect. Now, all I have to do next is just manage your stomach. Okay, cool. Dave, what's your stomach feel like? Man, it's starting to get pretty full. Okay, cool, but your delts are not as full. Let's pull the protein back. Let's pull the fat back and give you some carbs. What do you mean? I want you to just have just cream of rice. See what happens. It's literally that easy. And I understand that like emotions can come into play with people when it comes to terms like that kind of thing.
Yep. They're like, oh shit, I've been eating protein and carbs the whole time. You're not supposed to eat carbs by themselves. It's like, motherfucker, you're not gonna there's no rules to this shit.
Right. One of the greatest stories I've ever had. So the most peeled I've ever seen a human is John in the Charlotte Pro. Get to his hotel room. Dude looks wild. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. How much carbs have you eaten? How much protein and fat? I've had a small cup of coffee. What? What are you going to go on stage with? He's like, yeah, I might sip some Gatorade in a bit. Literally gets out on stage, motherfucker comes out there and is individual, pulls a vacuum on the front double. Peeled. Like the craziest I've ever seen a human. Gets off stage, like, what do you think? I'm like, man, that was nasty. You're top 5. Okay. What are you going to eat? I don't know. I'm going to get some burger and fries. Dude ate half of it. Half of a normal burger. Like, just a normal restaurant burger. Half of it, picked at the fries a little bit, napped, woke up, freak show. Looked like he gained 10 pounds. I go, you're just gonna do this? And he's like, I might have some cheesecake before the show later because I really want it. Like, it made me learn in that very moment. And of course, I'm gonna pick his brain about it. He's like, man, I knew that I was in shape. I knew that I was still full. And as long as I kept my stomach flat, I had a good shot. And I was like, fuck. So you pretty much didn't eat all day. And he's like, you saw it. Half a burger, half a fries, a couple bites of cheesecake, some little Gatorade in my mouth, just like quench his thirst because he got some salt in it. Like, it kind of blew my mind in the moment, but stepping back and looking at it, he wasn't wrong. He was carving up all week for the most part. Like, it was still smaller meals, but it was like carving up pretty much all week. He got there, he was full. Why fuck with it? Like, it was just assessing in the moment, like, I'm full. What do you think? Yeah, you're full of shit. So, kind of segueing off of that topic into, to me, what I thought was very poignant was the Olympia that just happened, right?
Yep. Or
And
the Arnold class, the Arnold. The
or
Arnold.
did I say the Olympia? Dear God, I'm already thinking about the Olympia. The Arnold, right? So I don't know what your takeaway was, but my takeaway was Samson is the best bodybuilder in the world. Or my brain is fucked. Hottie is the best bodybuilder in the world. End of story.
Samson has so much potential.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just like that's one more week of dieting right there, and it would be wild. But it's just managing that.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, we can all, coach, like football game, throw out what's out there. Like, I have no idea what his diet looked like.
No.
So it's like, I mean, he's also like 280, 300 right now.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. I don't know. I've just seen, like, from watching his YouTube videos and things, he doesn't eat that much food.
yeah,
Like, his breakfast was like 2 whole eggs and a cup of coffee. Like, I, I would love to just speak to Milos and be like, all right, what's your thought process? Like, is this what he's always eating? Like, that's like, I wouldn't even feed a bikini girl that little bit of a breakfast.
yeah,
Like, I'd almost want to know the whole picture. Now, I can't speak on it because we don't know the behind the scenes shit, right? Like, you don't know
yeah.
how much cardio is doing. You don't know if that was like a one-off day. You don't know, like, was his digestion fucked up and he just had to like fix it. Like, there's so many factors. I'm not by any means trying to disparage anything they've done because dear God, he's won an Arnold Classic, placed top 3 at the Olympia, and won an Arnold for Christ's sake. Like,
Mhm.
clearly he's got one of the best physiques on the planet. I would just love to know why. And that's just because I'm inquisitive and like I want to learn.
Yeah,
Like, I want to know why. Because as you said, once that man nails conditioning, and maybe he never does. Maybe that's the best we'll ever see. I would hope not, but if it is, I mean, to place that well and to just shape, structure his size, how much muscle he's put on, like, and how he poses, right? Like, super impressive. But on the other side of that coin, right, is Hottie and Derek that looks like you could fucking stack shelves in their ass. They're so damn peeled. Um,
yeah,
so I mean, I think you and I will always lean more towards conditioning
yeah.
because, as you said, that's you tends to be in your power for the most part. Um,
Mhm.
but I mean, I thought it was very interesting to hear Hani say if that Hottie shows up to Olympia, he's winning straight ones. Did you hear that? If I'm Derek, dude, I'm fucking raging.
Yeah,
That's the first thing I thought about. Like,
yeah,
I don't care if that is my coach. I'm like, okay, I got a point to prove.
yeah,
And I mean, I think that's what we saw in Hottie, right? Is he lost the Olympia title and he said, not happening. I'm going to solidify that I am the best body on the planet. And to me, I saw that on stage. Did you?
yeah. It
I
was
mean,
definitely going to be that was fueling his training session since he stepped off stage.
did you see some of those 1 week out training footage of him squatting 7 plates in the Smith machine?
Yeah,
Wild. I was like, between him and James training leading into the Arnold, I was like, oh, maybe I can step that last week up a bit.
Yeah,
That's what I thought.
yeah,
So, you know, the reason I wanted to talk about that hottie situation is it's something you and I have been touching on these past few podcasts. And listen, I'm going to say this. I heard it. I don't know if it's true, but if it was, or if it is, awesome. Like, so I'd heard that he was doing 2 training sessions a day at 6 days a week, and then he was doing 3 hours of cardio at the end per day. Let me first say that, as I said to you before, we were just shooting the shit, like, you can't have that has to be your full-time job. Like, that's
yep,
5 hours at minimum in the gym per day.
yep,
And just to be able to recover from that amount of exercise and to eat your meals, that's listen, that's a beyond a full-time job
yep.
to manage that. And the reason I bring that up is to not say, oh, that's the blueprint to getting shredded, because listen, there's been guys who get peeled on way less than that routinely.
Yeah.
But
And there's also guys who don't get peeled doing 3 hours of cardio.
yes, agreed.
I've seen that plenty of times.
Yes.
Got to give yourself time to do it.
Listen, some of my worst looks when I was doing the most cardio.
Mhm.
End of story. My best looks have always been somewhere in the middle, like moderate.
Mhm.
And no, I've never done it. I've never done 3 hours. I've done 2 hours on the stairs, 2 different preps, and I've done 2 hours of total before, and it just yielded not as good.
Mhm.
For me, my legs just like want to go away. So if you want to rob my muscle or my body of my best body part, it just seems silly.
Mhm.
Um, but again, the reason I say that is to me that just is a mindset. And I said to you, I pray I never get you to 3 hours of cardio, but I know in my heart if I said that's what's required and I want you to do it, you do it. And it wouldn't be like, fuck you, Chris. Like, you wouldn't go complain on social media. You wouldn't complain to your friends. Say, all right, cool. 3 hours. What's it, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks? You could
Mhm.
do anything for that. Fuck it. Like, it just goes back to your mindset. And, I think that's something you've always been great at is you have always welcomed that challenge from me. All right. You want me to switch my protein shakes out for fish? Yeah. Oh, you want me to not have any fat or carbs on my off day? Yeah. All right. Got it. Will you speak on your thought process when you receive this?
No, it's pretty much just that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I signed up for. I've always thought about that. I was like, I signed up to be a bodybuilder. Like, how many times do I have to say that? If I want to be a bodybuilder, I'm going to do bodybuilder things.
Yeah.
You
I'm
know, like
only,
if
I'm
I want
only,
to be in, if I want to be in shape, I'm going to do things but suck.
I'm only laughing right now at how like nonchalantly you just said that. And no one appreciates the depth of that until you're in it, right?
Yeah.
What do you mean? I always will say this. The amount of guys I've talked to at the beginning stages of prep are like, Chris, I'll do anything. Tell me, like, I'm not suffering enough. Like, or, you get the guys who are like, oh, my diet's not hard enough yet. Make it harder. I want more cardio. I want more of this. I want more training. And then we actually get to the point where I need to install those. And it's like, this is horrible. Like, hold on. Didn't you just ask me for this? I don't understand. 3 weeks ago, you were begging for less food. Now
Mhm.
I take it away like you requested, and suddenly I'm an ass, or it's
Right.
miserable, you hate it. I don't understand. But I always go back to like, it's cool to talk about bodybuilding. And I'm going to loop that back into what we started with the whole nerd fucking scalpel training shit. It's cool to talk about those premises until you get in the gym and realize like it's just about moving heavy ass weight with the target muscle. And you can spend all the time in the world with your fucking protractor out, but look to your right and there's a dude pressing the 150s for 12. And then look at your chest and compare to his. Kind of cool. You think he gives a fuck about the angle or the precision or his pec minor or how much his anterior delt contracts in the bottom position if he twists his hands 10 degrees in or out.
Right.
No. It goes back to the same thing. The guys who don't give, and girls who don't give an absolute fuck how awful it is, and they realize it's only a short window of time in my life. When I look at it as a whole, 12 weeks, if you live 60 years, is nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You're not missing out on anything. All the food in the world will be there when you're done. Your friends and family will hopefully still be there as long as you weren't too much of a prick.
Mm-hmm.
Suck it up. Like, you want to be peeled, you want to win, do it. Do what's required of winning. And I've always wondered with those people too, like the ones who go all in, the percentage that don't win all after doing that, like how many times that either bursts their bubble or it just says, man, to me, I've always felt like confidence comes from doing. In every prep that I've done, where I've nailed everything to the best of my ability and I had no second guesses,
Mm-hmm.
that's always given me the confidence to do the next one. Have you felt that way?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yep.
That's exactly where it comes from. I've never understood the like if you say you're gonna do something, like, and it's something coming from yourself, right? Why would you give up on yourself?
Yeah.
Especially when it's something with like dieting for bodybuilding shows, it's not gonna be fun,
Right.
but you're really fucking far from dying.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like you're not gonna be dying,
No.
and if you think you are, you really need to take it up a notch. Go to the like Holocaust Museum. Go see what that looked like, and realize this is a fucking beauty pageant. It's a walk in the park, you know. And if you can't do something difficult for yourself, why are you living?
Right. Yep. Yep. Have you ever heard Shaq speak on that experience with his dad, where his dad took and showed him a homeless family? Have you?
Uh,
All right, this is a cool story. I'll share it with everyone. So one of Shaq's like first few games as a rookie played horrible. Dad called him and was like, "What's up?" And he was just like bitching and moaning, like how hard it was to be in the NBA, and he doesn't know how if he could do this much longer. And and his dad said, "Meet me outside your house at 5 a.m." So he got in the car and he's like, "Where are we going?" He's like, "Just shut the fuck up." And he drove down apparently to this like under a bridge, and there's this family of four there, and he made him get out, and he said, "Go to tell that man and his family to come get in our car." And I guess his dad knew this family, and essentially it was like, "You want to see hard? Try raising two kids and having a wife that depend upon you every fucking day, and you don't have a job." He said, "Pretty funny when you put things in perspective, right?" He's like,
mhm.
"You're complaining about making millions of dollars playing a child's game, and it's hard?" No,
Right?
it's not hard. He ended up putting him up in a house, and the guy ended up being very successful in life. Pretty cool story all around. But the moral of that story is, you know, I had a mentor once that used to always tell people if they complained, he's like, "Go spend a weekend volunteering your time in a cancer ward for kids.
Yeah.
You want to see what hard is? Watch the parents interact with their dying child and knowing they can do nothing about it, right? Like
Mhm.
that that to me is so powerful, right? When you
Yeah.
think about life like that, like, and I've said this to you, I know I've posted online a few times, like, me growing up with a mom who was in chronic pain with lupus, bodybuilding is a cake, man.
Oh yeah.
I wake up and I feel great. Cardio may be hard. I may go a little hypo. I'm not in pain. I get to eat. I'm getting like endorphin release after endorphin release. I get to go train. It may be hard I'm there an hour. It might be hard for 6 minutes.
Mhm.
Her pain never cut off.
Yeah.
From the time she woke up to the time she went to bed, she was in chronic pain. That and shit, she was alive with that for 2 decades. Like, bodybuilding's a joke, man. Stop it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I always laugh, like, because if there's times where I start feeling sorry for myself, or I'm like, fuck, like my legs are toast, and I want to do another set, like I'll think about that. Like I'll put myself in that headspace. Or to be even more grim, but it's just the truth, and I'll speak to it. The amount of times I'll like think about if I'm getting ready to do a set of leg press, and I'm like, man, this might break me. And then I'm like, John would trade everything to be back here for this one other set, and then to go home to his family. How
Mhm.
dare I feel sorry for myself or complain or have those negative thoughts? Like he'd trade places with me in a heartbeat so he could see his boys again and his wife. And I get to go lift weights and then go home to that. Like
Yep.
I'm lucky because that's out of his control.
Without a doubt. I mean, like, it's comical. It's like so many people are gonna bitch and moan. They're like, man, it sucks to eat. Like, if you've ever just had protein diet, right? He's like, oh, I got 6 meals of chicken. It's like, oh wow, this sucks so bad. You're like, their life is ending. It's like, have you ever been without food, without choice? Right? God, I mean, there's the levels to hunger. It's like, and like, it's funny because it's just this bodybuilding is 100% your choice. So it's like complaining about it. It's like the dumbest thing on the planet. It's like, dude, there's a Costco down the street. Like, there's food in your fucking cupboard.
Yes.
You know, like you can change that right now, but your outcome is going to be different, and you're
Yes.
doing this for that.
Yes.
You know, and if you managing that should be like it's a yes or no. It's just that simple, and people want to just make it like this is a trauma
Yeah. Oh yeah.
because it's well, it may be the hardest thing. Like that's kind of the hard thing. You don't know what people's efforts are. Like a lot of people don't know what it is to go hungry. You know,
Yes.
if you've never had to like actually go into a garbage can and eat out of it for your food,
Right.
like you probably don't know what that hunger feels like. So it's like, oh, I mean, that might feel difficult. Being, okay, cool. I don't get my snacks with the meal anymore,
Right.
right? But
Yeah.
there's definitely someone out there who's felt something worse,
Without a doubt. I mean,
and they got to feel that without the choice of doing so.
right. Yeah.
I mean, you can definitely complain about that, right? If you lost your job, you're homeless, and you can't even buy, you don't get food, so your options are either steal food or find it. You can complain about being fucking hungry, but when you have 6 fucking meals of meat and protein, like fuck you, like seriously, like you're not fucking hungry. You have a meal in 2 hours. Like you might be a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah. You know, yeah. I think what people don't understand is when in this bodybuilding world, when we got to Pittsburgh and I was like taking your photos and I was like watching you get better by the day. I was like a school kid, like so excited to take your photos. And we get in the gym and you see you with a pump and I'm like, fuck. Like, it's just so cool, right? Because in
Yeah,
my mind, it's like I have a literal science experiment that I've built.
yeah,
So from my perspective, I'm like, oh, this is so cool, right? And you see you come out on stage and pose under those lights with the oil on, and like it all comes to life. And it's like 7 years of work together have culminated to this singular moment. I get to sit back and appreciate it. Like, and then we get to go to the gym the next day and like with all the stress of the show gone, with a good food, like a good solid meal in your stomach, and we take photos at that gym and you look creepy as fuck. Like
yep,
that's so rewarding. I've never had someone who's achieved that say to me, Chris, I regret it.
right.
Hard work, I regret. I wish we could take it back. No one. You know what I get? I get, man, thank you. Thank you. Like this is cool as shit. And I've always felt that way. Like personally going through it, I've never looked back and like, man, I really regret all that suffering, or I regret doing without, or I can't believe I was hungry that long, or did that much cardio, or, you know, trained to the point of where I couldn't see straight.
Yeah,
And I don't know if that's something in my head psychologically that doesn't trigger that. Maybe there are people, good people, like good competitors out there who do like they look back and they're like, oh God, I can't believe I did that for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. But the pros, the top amateurs, just people off the street that I've gotten in incredible shape have never felt that way.
Mhm.
So it's interesting to me, like the population that haven't achieved that level of like finality, meaning I followed every word of advice and suggestion and program, and I placed where I did, and this is the best I've ever looked. Like I would love to like sit down and talk with those people and have a good in-depth conversation, get to the bottom of like why was there regret there? Like why? Tell me, explain to me. Like why did you not
Yeah.
enjoy that? Like because I don't know how you feel, but like when I'm in the gym or I wake up or I walk by a mirror or I see a picture of myself when I've actually got all the fat off, I'm always like, I can't believe that's me.
Yeah.
You know, like I feel appreciative to have had everyone in my life who ever had an impact on that look in that moment. And I'm like, fuck yeah. Like, and I spoke about this on the last one. Like, I think it's like the 19-year-old kid in me that's like, fuck yeah, man. Like you literally are working towards what we set out to do together, you know? And to me, that's cool.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, and just with that, it's just like, why would I miss a meal? Why would I add food? Why would I cheat on my diet? You know what I mean? Like, I've seen some people with exceptional talent in outside of bodybuilding. Like, I know this one guy, he paints for like, he could sell it. He does sell his painting, but he puts so much effort into them, and we all understand why.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, like if something's wrong, he'll sit there and he'll spend. I've seen him spend 10 hours staring at a piece of canvas.
Yep.
You know, like you do stuff like that in bodybuilding, you're batshit fucking crazy. No, that's what the normal should be. Like if you have passion towards something,
Yeah.
you obviously are going to be a little bit strange to people who don't have your passion,
Yep.
and that's fine.
Yep.
Like they have their own passion. That's why we were put. Like that's why we're here.
Yes. Yep.
And like I'm so glad like I found mine.
Yes.
Like if you don't like bodybuilding, you don't have the passion for it, like give it a go, give it your best go. But like if you don't like it, don't do it.
Right.
You know, if it's the world's worst thing for you to go to the gym and lift weights and then eat fucking meat and rice. Like if that's so hard and terrible, like you need to be like, oh man, woe is me.
Right.
Like Costco muffins are on sale right fucking now.
Right. Yeah.
They're delicious and they're always on sale. Go do that.
Yes.
You know, find something else. Like it doesn't have to be this.
Yep. Agreed. What you just said brought two things to my mind. How many places do we go to get the right bananas in Pittsburgh?
Hey, three.
Three? The normal person would be like, bro, just get the ones at Trader Joe's.
Right.
No.
Me asking the person at Trader Joe's, like, do you have any bananas what you were gonna throw away because all of these are way green? She's like, what?
Right.
It's
So you
like I
get
want ones that have some brown on it. Is that a problem?
right. Like, and then we were on a mission for the rest of that fucking day until I think what we ended up getting them at Target, maybe. I can't
Yeah,
remember. I can't remember. Maybe I can't remember exactly. Maybe it's Kroger. I can't. I know we definitely.
I think we ended up getting them at Target,
I agree. I think so
and
too.
it was some like obscure banana tree in like the cereal aisle.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, yeah. Because you found them in the back, and I was like, "Oh, here they are in the front." You're like, "No, no, no, those are green too."
Yeah,
Yes, you're right. It was definitely Target. And then two, what you triggered me to think about is like, I know people probably tired of hearing me say like how much Branch always guided my ship in so many ways. Watching him train with James,
oh, dude, that was phenomenal.
like that alone fired me up because you could tell like for that split second he forgot he was retired, or maybe more like split hour, he forgot he was retired and he was just going at it, right? Like
Yeah,
the man who bodybuilding is in his soul and it's never going to go away. And I pray that my body holds up so that when I do retire competitively, that I can still get at it.
yeah,
Like if you're still going at it, and even though I may be retired, when we get together, oh, it's gonna happen. You,
Yeah.
you may outlift me, you may use more weights than me, you may have a lot more muscle than me. But when it's training time, it's gonna get after it. There's gonna be sweat dripping off my nose. Everyone in the fucking gym will be staring at us because that's not normal. And it'll be the time of my life. For a split second, I'll feel alive again. Like
Yeah.
that to me, and that's why I told you, like I was really rooting for James and that whole like look that he had because it just reminded me of Branch, I think, so much. And then watching those two together, I wish more of that younger crowd we talked about at the beginning would watch that and take away what
Yeah.
you and I do from it. You know,
Yeah.
it's not pretty. It, yes, they might have jerked a little bit, but that level of focus and intensity and passion is what made those two men have two of the most incredible bodies we'll ever see. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's good.
Yeah. I think I've pretty much nailed that.
Agreed. Agreed. All right, guys. Until next time, another great episode with little Dave and I. We will be back next week as always. See you.